I walked in on my husband and my sister together. My husband cheated with my sister, I cut them all off. Years later, the truth emerged. The email arrived on a Tuesday, 10 years after I'd walked away from everything. I almost didn't open it, the sender's name was unfamiliar, the subject line generic. But something made me click, some instinct I'd learned to trust after years of rebuilding my life. Dear Elena, I'm writing to you because I don't know who else to contact. Your mother is very sick. She's been in the hospital for 3 weeks now, and she's asking for you. I know you haven't spoken in years, and I know there's bad blood between you. But she's your mother, and she's not doing well. Please consider coming home. Sincerely, Dr. Margaret Chen. Palliative Care Unit. Memorial Hospital. I read the email 3 times, each word sinking deeper into my consciousness. My mother was dying. After 10 years of silence, she wanted to see me. 10 years. A decade since I'd walked out of that house, since I'd filed for divorce, since I'd blocked every number and deleted every photo. A decade of building a new life, a new identity, a new family of friends who loved me without conditions. And now this. My name is Elena. I'm 42 now, a successful graphic designer living in a small coastal town 800 miles from the city where I grew up. I have a partner named Sarah who loves me, a golden retriever named Milo who thinks I'm the center of the universe, and a life so peaceful that sometimes I forget the chaos I left behind. But I never really forgot. The wounds were too deep for that. Let me go back. Let me tell you about the betrayal that cost me everything, and the decade of silence that followed. I was the oldest of 3 daughters, born to parents who should never have had children. My father, Richard, was an engineer, brilliant, cold, emotionally absent. My mother, Patricia, was a social climber who measured her worth by her daughter's accomplishments and her standing in the community. My sisters were Isabella, 2 years younger, and Camila, 4 years younger. Isabella was the golden child, beautiful, charming, effortlessly loved. Camila was the baby, sweet, overlooked, desperate for attention. I was the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who kept the peace and asked for nothing. The pattern was established early. Isabella got dance lessons, new clothes, a car at 16. Camila got hand-me-downs and vague promises. I got told I was so mature for my age and left to figure things out on my own. I didn't complain. I didn't know I could. I just accepted that this was how families worked. Some children were loved openly, and some were expected to love without receiving. When I met Marcus at 23, I thought I'd finally found someone who saw me. He was handsome, ambitious, a rising lawyer at a downtown firm. He pursued me with intensity, showered me with attention, made me feel like I mattered. We married 2 years later, in a small ceremony my mother complained was underwhelming. He's a lawyer, Elena. You could have had a real wedding. Why do you always settle? I didn't settle. I loved him. I thought he loved me. The first few years were good, not perfect, but good. We bought a house, built careers, talked about children. Isabella married a wealthy businessman and moved to the suburbs. Camila bounced through relationships and jobs, always needing help, always receiving it from our parents. Then Marcus started working late. Then later. Then weekends. Then trips out of town for conferences that never seemed to produce any new business. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself he was stressed, working hard, building his career. I told myself everything was fine. It wasn't fine. I found out on a Thursday in October, 10 years ago. I'd come home early from work with a migraine, hoping to sleep it off. The house was quiet, too quiet. Marcus's car was in the driveway, but he wasn't in the living room or the kitchen. Then I heard sounds from the bedroom. I won't describe what I saw. Some images are too painful to put into words, too searing to ever fully erase from memory. But I'll say this, the woman in my bed, with my husband, was my sister. Isabella. The golden child. The one who'd always had everything. They didn't see me at first. I stood in the doorway, frozen, watching them together, feeling my entire world crumble into dust. When Isabella finally looked up and saw me, her face didn't show shame or guilt. It showed annoyance. Like I was interrupting something. "Elena," Marcus gasped, scrambling for covers. "This isn't what it looks like." "It's exactly what it looks like," Isabella said calmly, reaching for her robe. "We've been together for 6 months. We were going to tell you." 6 months. Half a year of lies, of secret meetings, of her in his arms while I slept alone in our bed. And she was calm. Collected. Unapologetic. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned around, walked out of the house, and drove to my mother's. I thought, stupidly, that she would comfort me. That she would be outraged, horrified, on my side. I was wrong. My mother listened to my story with an expression I couldn't read. When I finished, she sighed and said, "Well, what did you expect, Elena?" I stared at her. What did I expect? Marcus is a successful man. Handsome, ambitious. Isabella is beautiful, vivacious. You. Quiet. Serious. Always working. It's not surprising that he was drawn to someone more exciting. The words hit me like physical blows. You're blaming me? For my husband cheating with my sister? I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying that these things happen. And Isabella is pregnant now. Marcus told her he'd leave you. They're going to build a life together. Pregnant. Isabella was pregnant with my husband's child. And my mother knew. She'd known, maybe for weeks, and hadn't told me. You knew, I whispered. You knew about this. I suspected. Isabella confided in me. I'm her mother, Elena. What was I supposed to do? Tell me. Warn me. Protect me. You're strong, Elena. You've always been strong. Isabella needs protection. She's fragile, emotional. This situation is hard for her. Hard for her. My sister was having an affair with my husband, and my mother was worried about her feelings. My father, when I called him, was equally useless. Family drama, he muttered. Can't you girls just get along? I hung up. I sat in my car, in my mother's driveway, and I cried until I had nothing left. Then I went home, packed a bag, and checked into a hotel. I filed for divorce the next morning. The divorce was brutal. Marcus, suddenly the injured party, fought me on everything. He wanted the house, the savings, the retirement accounts, everything we'd built together. His lawyer argued that I'd abandoned him, that I was being unreasonable, that I was trying to punish him for a mistake. Isabella, meanwhile, played the victim beautifully. She told anyone who would listen that I'd always been jealous of her, that I'd driven Marcus away with my coldness, that she was the one who truly understood him. My mother parroted these lies at every opportunity. My father stayed silent, as always. Camila, my youngest sister, reached out once. A tentative text, "I'm sorry about what happened. I don't agree with them. But I can't get involved. I hope you understand." I understood. She was surviving the only way she knew how, by staying neutral, by not rocking the boat. I didn't blame her. But I couldn't stay connected to someone who wouldn't stand up for me. The divorce was finalized 8 months later. I got half the assets, less than I deserved, more than Marcus wanted to give. I sold the house, quit my job, and moved 800 miles away to a small coastal town I'd visited once on vacation. I changed my phone number. I deleted my social media. I blocked every family member who'd taken Isabella's side, which was all of them. I told myself I was starting over, building a new life, leaving the old one behind. I didn't cry at the funeral of my old life. I was too numb for that. The first year was hard. I lived in a small apartment, worked freelance design jobs, and barely spoke to anyone. The grief was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, replaying that moment in the bedroom over and over. But slowly, painfully, I began to heal. I found a therapist who specialized in family trauma. I joined a hiking group and discovered the solace of mountains and trees. I adopted Milo, a golden retriever puppy who demanded walks and play and unconditional love. I started my own design business, building it from the ground up. I made friends, real friends, people who knew nothing about my past and liked me for who I was. I dated cautiously, learned to trust again, and eventually met Sarah. Sarah was an artist, a painter who saw beauty everywhere. She was kind, patient, emotionally available. She didn't push me to talk about my past, but she listened when I was ready. She held me when the nightmares came, reminded me that I was safe, that I was loved. We moved in together after 2 years. We adopted another dog, a rescue mutt named Lucy. We built a life, quiet, peaceful, full of small joys. I didn't think about my family much. When I did, it was with a distant ache, like a phantom limb. They were gone. They'd chosen to be gone. And I'd chosen to let them. Then the email arrived. I stared at the email for a long time, my coffee growing cold beside me. Sarah found me that way, frozen, when she came downstairs. "Elena? What's wrong?" I handed her the phone. She read it, her face shifting from confusion to concern. "Oh, honey." She sat beside me, putting an arm around my shoulders. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. I haven't spoken to them in 10 years. I don't even know if my mother is still, if she's the same person. She's dying, Elena. That changes people. Or it doesn't. She was cruel to me my whole life. She chose Isabella over me, even when Isabella was sleeping with my husband. Why would that change just because she's sick?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Maybe it won't. Maybe she's exactly the same, and this will just hurt you again. But maybe she's different. Maybe she wants to make amends before she goes. And if she doesn't? Then you walk away again. You're strong enough to do that. You've done it before." I thought about it. About the years of silence, the years of healing, the life I'd built without them. About the girl I'd been, invisible, overlooked, always the one who gave and never received. About the woman I'd become, strong, independent, whole. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "If I go, will you come with me?" Sarah smiled, warm and steady. "I wouldn't let you go alone." We flew to the city the next week. I hadn't been back in 10 years, and everything felt foreign and familiar at once. The airport had changed, new shops, new restaurants. But the roads were the same, the buildings the same, the memories crowding in like ghosts. The hospital was a modern tower on the edge of downtown. We walked through the lobby, took the elevator to the palliative care floor, and stood outside room 417. "Ready?" Sarah asked. "No. But let's do it anyway." I pushed open the door. My mother lay in the bed, small and fragile, connected to machines that beeped and hummed. She'd lost so much weight, the robust woman I remembered was gone, replaced by a skeleton with papery skin. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. Beside her sat a woman I didn't recognize at first. She looked up when I entered, and I saw it was Camila. My youngest sister. She looked older, tired, worn down by years I knew nothing about. "Elena." Camila's voice cracked. "You came. I got the email." She stood, hugged me hesitantly. I hugged back, stiffly, not sure what I felt. "Thank you for coming. Mom's been asking for you for weeks. The doctors don't think she has much time left." "What's wrong with her?" "Pancreatic cancer. Found it too late. She's been fighting for 6 months, but..." Camila trailed off, tears in her eyes. I looked at my mother, this stranger who'd given birth to me, who'd raised me, who'd failed me in every way that mattered. I felt nothing. Just a vast, empty numbness. Isabella? I asked. Camila's face darkened. She doesn't know Mom's sick. We haven't told her. Why not? Because she'd make it about herself. You know how she is. Camila paused, then added, she's not well, Elena. Isabella. She and Marcus divorced after 5 years. He left her for someone younger. She's been in and out of treatment, alcohol, mostly. Mom's been supporting her, paying for rehab, trying to help. It's been a nightmare. I didn't know what to feel about that. Satisfaction? Pity? Indifference? A complicated mix of all three. My mother stirred, her eyes fluttering open. They found me immediately, as if she'd been waiting. Elena. Her voice was a whisper. You came. I came. Thank you. Tears leaked from her eyes. I have so much to say to you. So much to apologize for. I pulled a chair to her bedside and sat down. Sarah squeezed my shoulder and stepped back, giving us space. I'm listening. My mother spoke for a long time, her voice weak but clear. She told me about her own childhood, her own mother's favoritism, the patterns she'd never been able to break. She told me about the pressure she'd felt to raise perfect daughters, to maintain appearances, to keep the family looking good from the outside. I was so focused on Isabella, she said. She was beautiful, charming, everything I thought a daughter should be. And you were so capable. So strong. I didn't think you needed me. I did need you. I always needed you. I know that now. I see it now. But I was blind. I was so blind. She gripped my hand, her fingers thin and cold. When Isabella told me about the affair, I should have been furious. I should have protected you. But she was pregnant, and she was scared, and she made it sound like you and Marcus were already drifting apart. I convinced myself it wasn't that bad. It was that bad, Mom. It was worse. I know. I know. She was crying now, her whole body shaking with sobs. I've had 10 years to think about it. 10 years to watch Isabella destroy herself, to see the consequences of always giving her everything, never holding her accountable. And I've thought about you, wondered where you were, if you were okay, if you'd ever forgive me. I'm okay. I built a good life. I'm glad. So glad. She squeezed my hand harder. Elena, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I needed to tell you, before I go, that I was wrong. I was so wrong. You were the best daughter, the most loyal, the most loving. And I threw you away for her. I threw you away. I sat there, holding her hand, feeling the weight of 30 years of pain and 10 years of silence. The numbness began to crack, replaced by something raw and painful and real. I used to dream about this moment, I said quietly. I used to imagine you apologizing, telling me you loved me, choosing me for once. And then I'd imagine myself forgiving you, and we'd be a family again. But that's not how it works, is it? No. It's not. The damage is done. The years are gone. I can't get them back. I know. I know. She closed her eyes, exhausted. I'm not asking you to pretend the past didn't happen. I'm just asking you to know that I see it now. I see you. Finally, at the end, I see you. I stayed at the hospital for the next 3 days. Sarah stayed with me, running out for coffee and sandwiches, holding me when I cried, listening when I needed to talk. Camila and I talked too, in fits and starts, rebuilding a bridge that had been burned for a decade. She told me about her life, a quiet marriage, 2 children, a job she loved. She told me about the years after I left, how our mother had slowly, painfully, come to realize what she'd done. She talked about you all the time, Camila said. Especially the last few years. She'd look at old photos and cry. She tried to find you online, but you disappeared completely. I needed to disappear. It was the only way to survive. I understand. I do. Camila hesitated. Elena, I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you back then. I was young and scared and didn't know what to do. I should have been braver. You were surviving. I don't blame you. We hugged, and it felt like the first real connection we'd ever had. My mother's condition worsened. The doctors said days, maybe hours. I sat by her bed, holding her hand, watching her fade. On the third night, she opened her eyes and looked at me. Elena. I'm here, Mom. I love you. I always loved you. I was just too blind to show it. I know. I squeezed her hand. I love you too. She smiled, a faint curve of her lips, and closed her eyes. She slipped away an hour later, peaceful, her hand in mine. The funeral was small, just Camila, her husband, Sarah, and me. My mother had few friends left, she'd alienated most of them over the years with her drama and her favoritism. Isabella didn't come. Camila hadn't told her about the death until after the service. She'll make a scene, Camila said. She'll make it about her. Mom deserved peace. I agreed. We scattered her ashes in the garden she'd loved, the one she'd tended for 40 years. It felt right, returning her to the earth she'd nurtured, the flowers she'd grown. Afterward, Camila handed me an envelope. Mom asked me to give you this. It's from her safe deposit box. I opened it later, alone in my hotel room. Inside was a letter, handwritten, and a small key. My dearest Elena. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And you came. Thank you. I'm not going to spend this letter apologizing again. I've done that, and words are cheap. Instead, I want to give you something. Years ago, your grandmother left me a small inheritance. I never told anyone about it, not your father, not Isabella, not Camila. I kept it secret, I think, because I knew someday I'd need to make things right with you. The key opens a safe deposit box at the bank on Main Street. Inside is everything that's left, about $80,000. It's yours. No conditions, no strings. Use it for something beautiful. Use it to build the life you deserve. I'm so proud of you, Elena. I should have said it more. I should have said it always. I love you. Mom. I cried then, for the first time since she'd died. Not for the money, that didn't matter. But for the acknowledgement. For the final, precious gift of being seen. The next day, as we were preparing to leave, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Elena? The voice was slurred, desperate. It's Isabella. Please don't hang up. I didn't speak. I know you're in town. I know Mom died. Camila told me. I need to see you. Please. Why? Because I'm dying too. The words hit me like a blow. What? Cirrhosis. My liver is failing. The doctors say I have months, maybe less. I've been sober for 6 weeks, but it's too late. The damage is done. I didn't know what to say. Please, Elena. I know I don't deserve anything from you. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I need to see you. I need to say I'm sorry before I go. I agreed to meet. I don't know why. Closure, maybe. Or curiosity. Or some lingering thread of sisterhood I couldn't quite sever. She was staying in a halfway house, a modest building on the edge of town. She looked terrible, thin, jaundiced, years of hard living etched into her face. The beautiful golden child was gone, replaced by a broken woman with haunted eyes. Thank you for coming, she said, leading me to a small visiting room. I know you didn't have to. No. I didn't. She sat down heavily, wincing with the effort. I'd been in treatment for a year. Tried to get sober, tried to get my life together. But I started too late. The damage was already done. I said nothing. I know you probably hate me. You have every right. I ruined your marriage. I stole your husband. I let Mom blame you for it. I was a monster. You were. She nodded, accepting it. I've spent a lot of time in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did. The short answer is, I was broken. I'd always been the favorite, always gotten everything I wanted, and I still felt empty inside. When Marcus looked at me the way he used to look at you, I felt powerful. Desired. Whole. For a little while. That doesn't excuse it. No. It doesn't. Nothing excuses it. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. Marcus left me after 5 years. Found someone younger, prettier, easier. It was exactly what I deserved. Karma, right? Maybe. I lost everything. My marriage, my health, my self-respect. Mom kept paying for rehab, kept trying to help, but I just kept failing. And all that time, I thought about you. About what I'd done. About the sister I destroyed. You didn't destroy me. I rebuilt. I'm glad. That's the only good thing in this whole mess, that you got out, that you built a life, that you survived. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small envelope. I have something for you. It's not much, but it's all I have left. I opened it. Inside was a photograph, the 3 of us as children, me, Isabella, Camila, sitting on the porch of our grandmother's house. We were laughing, arms around each other, innocent and whole. I found it in Mom's things. I thought you should have it. I looked at the photo, at the girls we'd been before everything went wrong. Thank you. Elena, I know you can't forgive me. I wouldn't expect you to. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. For everything. I stood up to leave. At the door, I paused and looked back. I hope you find peace, Isabella. I really do. I walked out without waiting for a response. Sarah and I flew home the next day. Milo and Lucy greeted us with wild enthusiasm, as if we'd been gone for years instead of days. The house felt safe, familiar, ours. I told Sarah everything, about my mother's confession, about the money, about Isabella. She listened, held me, and said the perfect thing. Whatever you decide to do with any of it, I'm with you. I thought about the money. $80,000. It could pay off the rest of the mortgage, fund a dream vacation, sit in savings as a safety net. But I thought about something else too. Something my mother had said, use it for something beautiful. A few weeks later, I made a decision. I contacted a local organization that supported women escaping domestic abuse, women like I'd been, trapped in relationships that were destroying them. I set up a scholarship fund in my mother's name. Not because she deserved it, but because it felt like the right way to honor the complicated, painful love I still felt for her. I used part of the money to start a college fund for Camila's children, my nieces, whom I'd never met but now wanted to know. Camila cried when I told her. She sent photos, updates, invitations to visit. I set aside a small amount for myself, a down payment on a beach house Sarah and I had been dreaming about, a place where we could escape and be together and build memories. And I kept the photograph. The 3 of us, laughing on the porch, innocent and whole. I framed it and put it on my desk, a reminder of where I came from, of the love that had been lost and the love that remained. I wrote a letter to Isabella once, after I got home. Never sent it. Kept it in a drawer, next to my mother's letter and the photograph. Dear Isabella. I don't know if you're still alive. I don't know if you'll ever read this. But I needed to write it, for myself. I hated you for so long. I hated you for taking Marcus, for letting my mother blame me, for destroying the family I thought we had. I hated you for being the favorite, for getting everything I never got, for being loved in ways I never was. But sitting with you in that halfway house, seeing what your choices had cost you, I felt something I didn't expect: pity. Not forgiveness, I'm not there yet. But pity. You were broken too, in your own way. You just broke differently. I hope you find peace. I hope you know that I don't wish you ill. I hope that somewhere, somehow, the girls we were on that porch still exist, laughing, loving, whole. Goodbye, Isabella. Elena. I never sent it. A month later, Camila called to tell me Isabella had died. Peacefully, she said, in her sleep. She was 40. I cried then, for the sister I'd lost twice, for the girls we'd been, for the family that had crumbled into dust. Then I put the letter in the drawer, next to the photograph, and I let myself grieve. It's been 2 years since my mother died, 1 year since Isabella passed. Life has settled into a new rhythm, one that includes Camila and her family, one that honors the past without being controlled by it. We visit Camila twice a year now. Her children call me Aunt Elena. They know nothing of the family drama, only that I'm their aunt who lives far away and sends amazing birthday presents. I want to keep it that way, protect them from the weight of what came before. Sarah and I bought the beach house. We spend weekends there, walking on the shore, watching sunsets, building a life full of small joys. Milo and Lucy love it: endless sand, endless waves, endless adventures. The scholarship fund is thriving. I've met some of the women it's helped, heard their stories, seen the light return to their eyes. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever done. The photograph sits on my desk, 3 little girls laughing on a porch. I look at it sometimes and wonder who they'd have become if things had been different. If my mother had been able to break the cycle. If Isabella had found help earlier. If I'd been brave enough to speak up sooner. But I can't change the past. I can only build the future. What I learned. I learned that family is complicated. That love and pain can coexist, that forgiveness is a process not a destination, that some wounds never fully heal but they can become bearable. I learned that the people who hurt us are often hurting too. That doesn't excuse what they did. But it helps explain it, and explanation can be a step toward peace. I learned that you can rebuild after devastation. That you can create a new family, a new life, a new sense of self. That the girl who was invisible can become a woman who is seen. I learned that the cycle can be broken. My nieces will never know the pain I knew. They'll grow up loved, valued, cherished. That's my gift to them, and to the future. The verdict. So, was I right to cut off my family for 10 years? Yes. I had to survive. I had to heal. I had to become someone strong enough to face them again. Was I right to go back when my mother was dying? I don't know. But I'm glad I did. I got closure, confession, a chance to say goodbye. Was I right to forgive Isabella? I haven't, not fully. But I've let go of the hate. I've made peace with the past. And that's enough. My husband cheated with my sister. I divorced him and went no contact with my toxic family. Years later, things took a turn, my mother died, my sister followed, and I found myself alone with the wreckage and the possibility of rebuilding. I rebuilt. I'm still rebuilding. And somewhere in the rubble, I found myself. That's not a happy ending. It's a real one. And I'll take it. That's it for today's stories. If you want to see more of the best threads Reddit has to offer, make Reddit Be Mine a part of your daily routine. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a heartbeat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next thread.